Welcome to Tea with Tanya. I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose, an average millennial navigating life as a maternal health professional, nonprofit founder, and grad student. Join me in the tea tasting room where we spill the tea on finding balance and promoting positive living while doing it all. Hey friend, welcome back to Tea with Tanya. Thank you for joining me here in the tea tasting room for another week of us sipping and spilling some tea, honey, okay? Today's episode feels extra special, but before I get into it, I hope you have done something for yourself. Let me know what you have done since we last spoke here in the tea tasting room because you had an assignment. So let me know what you have done for yourself within this past week. For me, it has been me being knee deep in the final week of grad school, and I'm gonna try not to cry recording this episode because, child, the feelings are feeling right now. Okay, but for me, what have I done? I have gotten a pedicure. I did my nails because you know what? You know why today feels extra special? Because I officially graduate this week. That's supposed to be a drum roll. But yes, that's why today feels extremely special. That's why I was able to do something for myself the last few days because it's officially graduation week. The cap, the gown, the proud walk across the stage, it's all happening this week. And if I'm being honest, I am still taking it all in, to be honest. But today, I wanted to sit down with you, my tea tasting room family, and just share some reflections, not just about finishing grad school, but what about this milestone has taught me about trust, timing, identity. That's a big one. And stepping into the next chapter with intention. So grab your tea. I've got chamomile and ginger today. Get cozy and let's talk about what it means to honor the moment you're in and dream about what's ahead. All right? All right. Graduation isn't about crossing a stage. It's about crossing into a new version of yourself. At least that's how I am imagining and I'm thinking about it. Looking back, I realized this journey wasn't just about earning a Master of Public Health. It was about learning to trust myself when the road got messy, showing up when I didn't feel ready. That was many times, okay? Building discipline in seasons where motivation wasn't enough. And this was a struggle of mine, especially in the first year. But that's what it was about. Honoring my boundaries and protecting my dreams. Because one thing I may have boundary issues in other areas of my life, but when it came to this aspect and just me having to learn at the time, it taught me really on how to honor my boundaries and protect my dreams. And then also believing that the version of Tanya I was becoming was worth the effort, even on the hard days. The degree is going to be beautiful. It's beautiful. The photos will be beautiful. Shout out to my girl, Valeria. Like the photos I'm about to drop this week, my friend, they're going to be beautiful. But honestly, it's who I had to become to get here. That's the real win for me. The real success isn't the paper you earn. It's the woman you become in the process. Okay, my friend? That's one of the biggest lessons that I learned when I think about the journey, what it was about, honestly. Now, I have to think about life after big milestones. What is next? But here's what no one really talks about throughout this time here. They don't talk about after you finish a big goal, whether it's graduating, getting a promotion, moving to a new city, you can feel a little bit wobbly. It's like, yeah, I made it, but also, wait, what now? And I'm realizing that, that's normal. That is normal. Big milestones, they mark transitions, not endings. But I will say this, it's a bit of it's bittersweet one because most of my identity was tied to me being a grad student, if I'm being honest. Like if you ask me, oh yeah, I work full time, I'm a grad student, I have this, I have that. But most of my identity has been tied to grad school. Not in a negative way, to be honest. It's who I became, because again, I had a supportive unit or supportive community within my grad school, on my grad school journey. But I am graduating with a master's in public health. And anyone will tell you, okay, when you're thinking about what's next, anyone can tell you that it's it's a crazy time to be a public health professional for so many reasons because every time you blink, some sort of funding is being cut from the government. Some funding is being cut, something is being this, somebody's being fired, and at this point, public health is being attacked right now, if I can be honest with you for a quick minute. So me, while celebrating, while thinking about what's next, my plan, if I can be honest really quickly, my plan was to, do what you got to do, get your graduation, and you're going to apply to this job, that you're going to land your dream job as it relates to, what your concentration was in. And lo and behold, I now live in a country where people don't care. I don't want to say they don't care, but the head of said country, who shall remain nameless, is just doesn't necessarily have any regard for the field of public health right now. So we're taking a hit. But you know what? What I've been seeing on my LinkedIn and just with the people who I talk to, we're taking a hit as public health professionals, but it's also a time for us to really double down, get all the strength that we have to keep fighting for the causes that we've been fighting for, everything. So even though, we're getting money pulled, somebody's getting fired, showing up to work and can't even use their key card, whatever the case may be, it is now an even better time for us, for me as public health professionals, for us to really double down and just take charge. Obviously, if you're not like me, I'm blessed to have a job while in grad school. Some of my peers are about to graduate, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But again, now is the time for us to come together, volunteer, intern, do whatever the case may be, for us to stay afloat, essentially, as it relates to where we are currently in the public health climate, So it is normal to think about, wait, what do I do now? Because I am even thinking it as somebody who's employed, thankfully. You know what I mean? But what I am going to be doing, and I want you to do, is just I'm giving myself permission to breathe, reflect, dream bigger, and trust that I don't have to have every step figured out today. And that's what I want you to take away from this episode as well. Whether you're graduating undergrad, high school, master's, or you're just someone who you may have gotten a promotion, or, things are happening within your environment, just really give yourself permission to breathe, reflect, dream bigger, and trust that you don't have to have every step figured out today. And that doesn't necessarily go towards me because I'm graduating, because there are things that one thing about me, I'm going to breathe. Well, I'm going to breathe a little bit, but I'm going to reflect, and I'm going to always have a bigger dream, and I'm just going to decide what I can take on today, and also understand and remind myself that I don't need to have every step figured out today. And I had to remind myself that today too, because, as a nonprofit founder, we're getting ready to have our event, and they're just some things that I understand. You know what, Tanya? Take a breath. Let's reflect for a little bit. Let's see how we can pivot what we need to do. Because again, it can be, there's always tomorrow. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, life moves in chapters. And when one chapter closes, you get to turn the page at your own pace. That's one of the beautiful things about life. When one chapter closes and it seems like, what am I going to do next? And I'm stressing and I'm worrying. Here's what, my friend, you get to turn the page at your own pace. You are allowed to rest at the finish line before you start running toward the next dream. That's it. And that's what I'm embracing as I get ready to take that step across the stage the day after this episode airs. I have my hooding ceremony, then I have my graduation ceremony, but I want you to know, it doesn't matter what you're doing in life, you are allowed to rest at the finish line before you start running toward the next dream, right? One thing I've learned is this. Success isn't about achieving. It's about alignment. Ooh, honey. Let me tell you. When I honestly had to, came to this realization, whether it's late or early, it doesn't even matter. But I started realizing that, when you think about it, girl, somebody saying, oh, you do this, you do that. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, But I had to really dig deep, and I realized, what, success, like, what is success to me? It's not about just the different achievements that you have. It's honestly about alignment. It's about waking up and knowing that you're moving in the direction of who you want to be, not who the world expects you to be. And I was having a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine, someone I hold dear to my heart. And I know she's listening to this podcast because she has no choice. But we're just talking about, where I am, how I'm feeling, just testing the temperature of where I am as it relates to just school, podcast, and everything. And, one of the questions that she would have asked, I had a question or a statement, are you still, not necessarily the exact words, but are you still living or showing up in this world because of maybe your parents may have certain expectations of you or where you're from? And I'm like, girl, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I said, maybe a little bit, but no, I'm doing me. I'm doing what my heart tells me. So definitely when I talk about success, Again, not about the achievement, but about the alignment. And it's about knowing, you know what? You are moving in the direction of who you want to be, not who the world expects you to be. Because that's too much. That's too much trying to live up to everybody's expectations. It's like, I can't do that anymore. For me, success looks like creating impact through my work. It's about honoring my body and my boundaries. It's about building spaces like, Tea with Tanya and Scrub Life Cares where others feel seen, heard, and empowered. It looks like trusting the timing of my dreams, even when the world says, move faster. I'm going to repeat this because this last line just really reminded me. For me, success looks like creating impact through my work, honoring my body and my boundaries, building spaces like Tea with Tanya and Scrub Life Case where others feel seen, heard, and empowered. Trusting the timing of my dreams, even when the world says, move faster. Come on, just now move. I'm not move. I'm not moving faster than I want to move. You understand me? And guess what? Guess what, my friend? Success looks different for everyone. You don't have to follow someone else's timeline. That's a big no-no. We're not doing that. Everything happened. Nothing happens before its time, first of all. You don't have to achieve everything by a certain age. When I finished out of nursing school, I'm like, you know what? Oh my goodness, I'm so old. I need to be done by this, that, and the third because I want to be married with kids by a certain age. Nah, we're not doing that no more. You don't have to achieve everything by a certain age. You could be 45, 51, 75. It doesn't matter. But also, you get to define success on your terms. And you get to change the definition as you grow. Hello. That's what I have done. I no longer look for success or try to match somebody else's success because I don't know what journey they're on. Like last week I mentioned about, your path being different than someone else's. I don't know what they did to get there. It's like growing up when they say back in Antigua, oh, you see somebody have something, you don't know how they got it. So why would you want to be jealous of somebody? You know what I mean? So that's literally similar mindset. You get to decide you get to define success on your terms and what that definition looks like as you continue to grow. Because one thing about me, we are meant to keep growing and evolving. Like me today on this podcast and me in September is not going to be the same Tanya. So you're going to be with me in my journey as I continue to evolve and I change the definition of who I am and what I want my success to look like, what I want certain things to look like within my environment as well. You know what I mean? So, my friend, maybe you're celebrating something big right now too. Or maybe you're in a quiet chapter, building, healing, resting, reimagining. Whatever chapter you're in, it matters. It's worthy. And it deserves to be honored. You don't have to rush to the next thing. And take it from your friend Tanya, because one thing about me, I'm going to finish something and then I'm on to the next. And then before you know it, anxiety is high, everything is going haywire because, again, I'm rushing into the next thing. So it doesn't matter what chapter you're in. It matters, it's worthy, but you don't have to rush to the next thing. You don't have to explain why you're moving at your own pace, because I'm done doing that. I can't do it anymore. Like, I don't have the words or the energy. You just have to keep showing up for your life with softness, with strategy, and with trust. Every season you move through is preparing you for what's coming next. And I wholeheartedly believe this because that's my testimony at this point in time. Every season you move through is preparing you for what's coming next. I want you to write this phrase on a post-it note and stick it on your bathroom mirror. Every season you move through is preparing you for what's coming next. So today, I want to leave you with a question. What chapter are you in right now? And even more importantly, how can you honor it, my friend? Well, that's your homework. Let me know. What chapter are you in right now? And how can you honor it? So that's very important. So this week is graduation week for me. This week is a reminder for me and hopefully for you too that every step, every delay, every yes, every no, every small beginning, it all matters. You are building something beautiful even when it doesn't feel big yet. Take it from me, my friend. You are becoming someone powerful even when the work feels invisible. Again, take this from me, from my experience. You are already enough, even as you grow. So this week, my friend, take a moment to celebrate yourself, where you've been and where you're going. Write it down, because you know how I feel about writing things down. Write it down speak it out loud, and share it with a friend. And of course, DM me if you want to. Let's celebrate all of it, okay? I'll be raising my teacup, clink clink, and my graduation cap in honor of you too. Until next time, my friend, stay whole, stay grounded, and sip slow. I will be back to talk about my experience walking across this stage. But thank you, my friend. By the time you listen to this episode, I will be getting ready for my hooding ceremony and for my graduation. And my voice is cracking because, Lord of mercy, it's bittersweet for me. But I love you for listening, and I thank you for your support throughout this journey. Again, see you next time in the tea tasting room. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tea with Tanya. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow on Instagram at Tea with Tanya Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the weekly Tea Talk newsletter. And of course, rate on Apple or Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen. See you next time. I love you for listening.